Along the way, the Biden administration has been slow in providing military support. Make no mistake about this. We promised them 33 Abrams tanks in January. I heard again 2 weeks ago in Ukraine, they still don't have them. We've been telling them we'll train their F-16 pilots, but now they're saying maybe January we'll let somebody transfer some jets.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, have you, I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States.
There's so many things. I'm going to have to play this again. Mike Pence is a jackass. I mean, I have I never noticed it? What he just, thank you for noticing. That's a jackass comment. And he's like, look, I know the format is not one where he's supposed to be gazing into the loving eyes of Tucker Carlson. But this is a look of utter disdain that he is projecting to the crowd, his disdain for Tucker Carlson. And the question that he's asking right now, thank you for noticing. Thank you for proving that you're a jackass, and I've never noticed this.
States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States, and it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. Public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased, and yet your concern is that the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern. I'm running for president of the United States because I think this country's in a lot of trouble. I think
I want to pretend. Like, I want to give Mike Pence the benefit of the doubt, despite that jackassery that we just saw there. That's not my concern. And he says it not once, but twice. We're going to play this again because I also want to highlight something that I think many of you might have already realized.
Along the way, the Biden administration has been slow in providing military support. Make no mistake about this.
Make no mistake. Let me be clear. Make no mistake. When someone starts a tweet like that, a sentence like that, a statement like that, what do we say? 90% of the time, more often than not, if we don't want to quantify it, what's going to follow is absolute rubbish. Make no mistake. Can you believe that the criticism here of the U.S. is that they're not providing tanks and military support fast enough to Ukraine? That's the criticism. They're not providing F-16 training. They're not quickly enough marching towards World War III, crossing one red line after another as to what they would not do in terms of escalation with a nuclear superpower over what is a regional conflict that predates the 2022 alleged beginning of this conflict. Make no mistake.
Promised them 33 Abrams tanks in January. I heard again 2 weeks ago in Ukraine, they still don't have them.
Still don't have them. Look at this guy. He's taken classes on how to present himself.
We've been telling them we'll train their F-16 pilots.
Train their F-16 pilots, and now because of that undercover recording, or that journalist who captured Nadler, Jerry Nadler, not Ralph. I'm thinking of Ralph Nader, Jerry Nadler, talking about, well, if we give them F-16s and they go bomb Moscow, we don't have to sanction it. I mean, sure, it'll start World War III because we're basically sanctioning it. Now we want to train their pilots how to use F-16s to what?
Now they're saying maybe January we'll let somebody transfer some jets.
Look at Tucker's face, by the way. I love Tucker. Period. I love Tucker. There. He cannot, I mean, one thing I like about Tucker's interview style, he lets the interlocutor speak. I think I do the same even when I disagree with them, but I do know that I can get a little ADHD, hyperactive, and interrupt more than I even want to. I like that Tucker Carlson lets his interlocutor speak, but even he here has to put an end to this rubbish coming out of Mike Pence.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, have you, I know you're running for president. You are distressed that the Ukrainians...
Great comeback, Pence.
...don't have enough American tanks. Every city in the United States has become much worse over the past 3 years. Yeah. Drive around. There's not one city that's gotten better in the United States.
Talk about reading the room as well. Pence, if you've taken a class, read the response to the room here.
And it's visible. Our economy has degraded. The suicide rate has jumped. public filth and disorder and crime have exponentially increased.
Right.
And yet your concern
right now, by the way, you look at Mike Pence, he's just waiting to say what he wants to say. He's not listening. He's not digesting. He's not processing. He is just waiting for his turn to speak. The most disingenuous form of intercourse, dialogue there is out there.
Is it the Ukrainians, a country most people can't find on a map, who've received?
I don't like that point. It's the fact that people couldn't find it on a map does not mean that there's not bad stuff going on there. Most people couldn't find Sudan on a map. Most people couldn't find Libya on a map. That doesn't mean that there's not a wild disarray state of injustice going on there, but I understand what Tucker is getting at. While they continue to ship billions, arms, aid, money, Americans, and this goes for Canada too, the West is in decline. The West can't feed their own citizens. They can't shelter their own homeless. They can't help their own veterans. They can send them off to fight, and then they come back homeless. I think it was Tom McDonald. He had a great line in one of his songs, and I forget what it was. You send them to fight overseas, and then they come back to be homeless. This is what's happening in America. What do you have to say about it, Pence? Think about it. Your answer is going to be wrong.
Received tens of billions of U.S. tax dollars, don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to
look at the way he looks over. Like, are you done yet? I'm waiting to talk. I'm waiting to say my thing here. I'm not listening to you. I'm just listening to you to stop.
Don't have enough tanks. I think it's a fair question to ask, like, where's the concern for the United States in that?
Well, it's not my concern. Tucker, I've heard that routine from you before, but that's not my concern.
I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't know what he was answering when he said that's not my concern. I've heard that routine before. Pray tell, Pence, what is that routine? That you're neglecting your own home, your own citizens, while fomenting regime change, proxy war conflict overseas? I've heard that routine from you before. Hey, it's not. Oh, now I hear myself again. Why does this keep happening? Oh. Why do I continually hear myself in the background? Give me a second, people. It's been happening since I've, oh, geez, Louise, this one might be tough to find. Okay, that was. Yeah, this is getting annoying even for me, people. I've got a bunch of things up in the background. Share screen. Let me see what's going on here. Oh. That's not it. It's not that here. Okay, it's because I have one window open with Rumble in the back. I fixed it. Okay, good. Now I can go back to distracting myself if I can find the window where I was open now. Oh, here we go. We're back. Yeah. I've heard the routine. Let's bring that out. It's madness. Before I go into the article where, he's heard the routine. Thank you for your concerns, Tucker. Now we're going to go send, 2,000 or 3,000 reservists over to Europe. We're not going to give them F-16s. That would start a war. We're not going to give them Abrams tanks. Well, that might start a war. You can have a little bit of an incursion. We're not going to cross certain lines. Now we're sending in thousands of reservists to Europe. They are, is it goose stepping? Is it tiptoeing? Is it running full speed ahead like lemmings to a cliff to World War III? I've never thought I'd live through a time where I could say, how the hell can this happen in real time? You read the history of how World War I broke out, and you're like, oh, it was one mistake after another. How could people be so stupid then? You look at how World War II broke out. Maybe a little tougher to explain or to avoid World War II. Maybe. You are watching the West, and I dare say there's a good reason why they're doing it. You're watching them run full throttle, full speed ahead into World War III. And I think there's a reason why they're doing it, because the shittier things get back home, the more they need a wild distraction from it. In Canada, we're going to get into this in today's stream. You got your, what do they call it? Your summer pollution price rebate. I mean, I know what it is now because I had to look it up, because it's just verbal diarrhea. 11 million Canadians having trouble paying groceries. What better way to distract Canadians from the misery? Find a bigger boogeyman so that they can distract from their own misery, thinking, focusing on this distraction that is a man-made, West-made distraction. Can you ever imagine a time in history where instead of looking at diplomacy and looking for diplomacy, we have actually looked to further exacerbate conflict? Where instead of having meetings with, I'm going to forget the word now, diplomats, you're expelling diplomats, when instead of actually talking how to make peace, all that you're doing is talking about how to promote and finance war. They're doing it on purpose because shit has hit the fan back home, and the only way to distract from that is to create bigger scandals, exacerbate bigger scandals overseas, or even at home. Just find one crisis to distract from another, even if it means manufacturing that crisis. And for those of you who haven't heard the news, what was it? There was some stupid thing that happened yesterday with Biden that they were using to distract from the important thing that happened yesterday. Was it yesterday this news came out? July 13th, and it's July 14th today. Yeah, it's Bastille Day. Justin Trudeau, the ever ignorant buffoon that he is wishing France happy Bastille Day. He doesn't understand the history of Bastille Day and what it meant in terms of the French Revolution. They're idiots. Justin Trudeau, he likes to pick on whatever holiday it is to show his support for minority groups. Doesn't understand half of the holidays that he promotes, because many of them have to do with overthrowing corrupt, tyrannical regimes. Here's the news from Politico, a decent source. Biden orders 3,000 reservists to be ready for Europe deployments. It's not clear whether the troops will actually be deployed, but it suggests the U.S. military presence in Europe is under strain. It's what would happen if people just boycotted war? I mean, I know the argument is, well, then the true tyrants, the true warmongers would just take over the world. Passivity doesn't work on bullies. What would happen if the reservists say, we're not doing this. We are not escalating this. We are not going to first of all, we're not going to go die overseas when there is what to die for back home. There is infrastructure. There is crisis at home. Why are we going to fight, bleed, and die and exacerbate conflict overseas? What would happen if they just said, no, we're not going? President Joe Biden has authorized the military to call up 3,000 reserve troops to support operations in Europe after tens of thousands were sent there last year after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, a top general said Thursday. Remember when it was revealed that, there were allied fighters among Ukrainians on the front lines actually fighting Russia? That might be crossing another red line that, the West said they wouldn't cross, because this is a war between Russia and Ukraine, and the West isn't getting involved in it. But the future of Ukraine is in NATO, according to airhead Melanie Joly, who has no business in the position of power that she is currently in. Melanie Joly is the Minister of Foreign Affairs out of Canada, from lawyer to mayor to World War III. Although it's not clear whether Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin plans to actually deploy these reservists anytime soon, the move suggests that the U.S. military training mission in Europe, along with the deployment of several new brigades after the invasion, has stretched active duty forces. This reaffirms the as long as it takes 2 weeks to flatten the curve, people. This reaffirms the unwavering support and commitments to the defense of NATO's eastern flank in the wake of Russia's illegal and unprovoked war on Ukraine. Lieutenant General Douglas Sims, the Director of Operations, Joint Chiefs of Staff. While the move gives military European commander greater flexibility. Okay, it goes on. Oh yeah, by the way, just the other thing, who are the criminals? Yes, by all accounts, there have been cluster bombs being used by both sides in Russia-Ukraine conflict. There's a world of difference between Russia and Ukraine using the awful, what ought to be a crime against humanity, cluster bombs, versus America supplying cluster bombs to Ukraine. The news also comes as Ukraine continues to hammer away at Russia's main defensive lines in the Donetsk and Zaporozhye regions, although senior Pentagon officials hope that Kyiv's forces will recapture more significant territory soon. They say progress has been slower than hoped. New American cluster bombs have arrived in Ukraine. Hey, and when those land and they blow up kids and they blow up people years after this conflict is over, who's to blame for that? New American cluster bombs have arrived in Ukraine after the Pentagon announced the controversial decision to send them last week. It's an amazing thing, eh? It's controversial when your allies do it. It's a war crime when your adversaries do it. Officials say they believe the new weapons will prove more effective on the battlefield against dug-in Russian positions and concentrations of troops and armored vehicles. Oh, they'll be effective. They'll be effective. Good afternoon, East Coast. Good morning, West Coast. Good evening, Europe. By the way, because people in the chat had said, it looked like Lotus Eaters, Carl Benjamin, we should do another stream together. It looks like we will be doing another stream together. It's tentatively confirmed for next Thursday. I was just messaging Carl. Stay tuned. Next week it's going to happen. How's everybody doing? Who was I talking to? And I was saying it's getting increasingly difficult to remain optimistic, and it's getting increasingly difficult to remain cheery-eyed and looking for the beauty in life. I've been chasing my white dragon, which is a big, fat caterpillar. I think it's the Luna moth caterpillar. I saw one years ago. It was so big. Like, I have big, fat, pudgy fingers. It was bigger than my index finger. And whenever I go jogging, I'm like perpetually scanning for that big, fat caterpillar, because it's like the most random, immense beauty that you can imagine. We're sitting in a world which is sometimes a world of shit. And then along comes a big, fat green caterpillar with these like bulbs on the little hairs on its back. And it's like a creature of design that you could not have ever designed of your own creative thinking. So as I keep jogging, doing my right wing, far right exercises of the afternoon, I'm still looking for that white dragon of mine, the green caterpillar. But it's getting increasingly difficult to remain optimistic and to remain, what's the word? What's another word for optimistic? Nonetheless, we have no choice. Like a heron has no choice but to stand there still until a frog comes by, because that's how its existence is, depends on its behavior. We have no choice but to remain optimistic and to continue to make changes in the way that we can. Positive changes. Now, what I was going to say, you will eat the caterpillars. All right. Before we get into the first article of the day, before we go over to Rumble afterwards, standard disclaimers: no medical advice, no election fortification advice, no legal advice. Ha ha ha. Those things, they're super chats if you see them. And Rumble rants, it's a wonderful way that I very much appreciate for everyone to support the channel. Bear in mind, YouTube keeps 30% of super chats. Rumble typically keeps 20% of their Rumble rants, except for the rest of this year, they keep 0%. They give 100% to the creators. So all the better for the creator. But even when they go back to taking the 20%, it's better on Rumble to support the creators, to support the free speech platform. I start on YouTube and Rumble and Locals, vivabarneslaw.locals.com, the best place to support. $7 a month, $70 a year or more. Some people actually support with more than that. I end on YouTube, go exclusively to Rumble, then we end on Rumble, and we have a little after party on Locals. That's the schedule of the day. We're going to do the Taylor Lorenz story, which sort of merges with the Elon Musk ad revenue splitting that dropped yesterday, much to people's surprise, those who had no idea this was coming, and it's sort of like found money and a wonderful treat, and somehow has managed to turn into controversy. We'll get there. After we're done with that, we're going to talk about what are some of the other stories that we have to talk about. There's a lot. Canadian stuff, but there was one big story for the States after the FBI. That's right. The FBI lies, Taylor Lorenz cries, and Canada slowly dies. That's what the title should have been. All right, let me just make sure everything is good here. We're good on YouTube. We're good on Rumble. Share the link around. We're good on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. All right, so this is the story of the day. I get a DM yesterday saying, hey, Viva, did you get any of that sweet, sweet Twitter ad sharing stuff? And I was like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what this is. And then I went into my monetization on Twitter, because I did monetize so that I could enable subscribers. I've got one subscriber. I priced the subscribers on Twitter almost as a joke, because I wanted to direct everyone to Locals. And I got one subscriber, and I DM'd this subscriber just to make sure that they actually subscribed on purpose and not by accident. So I thought this, like, the AdSense ad sharing had to do with your subscribers, and I wasn't expecting, anything. And then I did get an email afterwards saying, congratulations, you get a share of ads sharing on your videos on Twitter. I have no idea how this works. I have no idea how the amount was calculated. I actually had no idea that I was even eligible for this. I don't know how Twitter knew what my Stripe account was or had access to it. I don't remember having set that up when I, monetized for subscribers. But it was an interesting surprise. And then I'm sitting there saying, how long until somebody finds a way to call this far-right extremism? It's not often that I can predict the insanity, but the older I get, the easier it seems to get to predict the insanity. I tweeted it out. It was 3 hours before I saw Taylor Lorenz's article. It was 3 hours before Taylor Lorenz's article was published. Saw the news today like everybody else. We're going to get into how this actually works, because thus far people are confused as to how the ad revenue splitting on Twitter works. I have no idea. My thoughts were, part of me is concerned that it's going to incentivize the wrong type of behavior on Twitter. I'm not ragging on Krasenstein for having posted that he made $24,000. Good for him and good for his engagement. And I have neither jealousy nor animosity, nor do I think Krasenstein is his tweets, in as much as they might have garnered that much revenue. I don't think those are the types of bad tweets that should be the concern. The concern should be viral videos that go viral that are inaccurate. Whether or not it's going to incentivize people to make misleading disinformation viral videos, that's the question. That's my concern. But I also just said, just anticipating. Can't wait for mainstream media to somehow qualify profit sharing as far right. Some might even say it's the opposite of capitalism. It's Elon sharing ad revenue that he does not need to share, that I think most people were not expecting him to share. It would be not the antithesis, but rather it would be contrary to what one would typically assume capitalism would generate by way of conduct from a corporation. I said that at 6:45 p.m. Not knowing that where there is a Babylon Bee headline, there surely shall be a Taylor Lorenz follow-up. Taylor Lorenz, writing for the Washington Compost, comes right out after it says, far-right Twitter influencers first on Elon Musk's monetization scheme. It's a scheme, and you should be scared of it. The platform is paying high-profile creators, including Andrew Tate, thousands of dollars for posting to the app. Taylor, I know that you're just a journalist for the Washington Compost. Let's make sure that we describe things properly. Andrew Tate is not being paid thousands of dollars to post to the app, any more than people are getting paid thousands of dollars to post to YouTube. What they're getting is apparently the AdSense equivalent of ad revenue generated off of their posts. They're not getting paid to post. They're getting paid a portion of the ad revenue generated that is placed on or embedded in the content that they do post. It's a minor distinction, but it's a material distinction, because one makes it sound like or suggests that Elon is saying, hey, Tate, post some shit to Twitter. Whereas the other reality is Tate posts to Twitter. Elon says, well, I'm going to run ads on your content, and here's your portion, however it's determined, of the ads. Far right, though. Far right influencers are the first to be getting paid by Elon. Now, hold on, because I'm not gonna misrepresent Taylor Lorenz's quality journalism. Let's just actually go read the article real quick like Washington Compost. Taylor Lorenz. By the way, she's blocked me. She didn't reach out to me. She didn't reach out to me to ask me. She only reached out to Shia Raichik, which we're going to get to in a second. Libs of TikTok, who she seems to have an unhealthy obsession with. We'll get there in a second. This is the journalism. I'm wearing the shirt. Okay. Hold on. Here. The five W's. The 5 W's with an extra H. Who, what, when, why, where. You can get yours at vivafrei.com. Those are the 5 W's of journalism, typically, or as I like to say, the 5 WH's of journalism. We're going to go through this article, and you're going to ask yourself, which of these 5 questions have been answered, or how many of the 5 questions have been answered? Who, what, when, why, where. Although, yeah, that's right. That's what we did here. Far-right influencers first on the scene, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Los Angeles. On Thursday, Twitter announced that it would be sharing ad revenue with content creators on its platform for the first time, but the offer won't apply to all creators. Here we've got the questions. Now we're going to find out if this journalizing actually provides any of the answers, although it becomes increasingly difficult to get answers when people won't talk with you because you are an untrustworthy snake in the grass of a journalist. That is, or that might be, Taylor Lorenz. The first beneficiaries appear to be a string of high-profile far-right influencers who tweeted before the announcement how much they've earned as part of the program. I did find it a little weird that everybody was... Jeremy from the Quartering said it's in transparency. Why is everyone posting how much they got? I found it a little weird as well. I mean, it's sort of like a humble flex. It's a fun thing. I mean, I don't judge anybody for doing it, but like, why post what you get from Twitter AdSense revenue or Twitter ad revenue, but not also, what you get from YouTube? I humorously think like one is small enough, but proportionately big enough to be something of a flex. And the other one might be so big that it might make people angry or jealous. So, you want to share the smaller one, but not the bigger one. I thought it was a little bit weird as well, but no judgment. I like the transparency in that it will allow people to determine how this ad revenue has been paid out based on impressions or whatever it is. I've never looked at impressions. I've never looked at views other than like the one that you can see on a video. So maybe people are going to be able to piece together how this works, but it was a little weird that people are posting how much they got paid in the screen grabs. I mean, it's nice. It's nice. It's just like, it's like a bonus Christmas present, and people are happy and can't blame for that. Ian Miles Chong, Benny Johnson, and Ashley St. Clair all touted their earnings. Wow, Elon Musk was in content monetization is real, tweeted an anonymous account called End Wokeness. Why do I think that Taylor Lorenz is going to try to end the anonymity of End Wokeness's anonymity? What do I get the feeling? Why do I remember a time when Libs of TikTok was once anonymous as well until Taylor Lorenz stepped in? It's a weird thing to say. Tweeted an anonymous account, End Wokeness. That's a weird word to have added. Taylor Lorenz, you suspect. With 1.4 million followers, accompanied by a screenshot, $10,400. Good for them. So far, influencers who have publicly revealed that they're part of the program are prominent figures on the right. Andrew Tate, for example, who was released from jail on rape and human trafficking charges. Looks like she's pulling a little Mehdi Hasan journalism here. The power lies in the accusation. Frame it that the man is a convicted raper and human trafficker. Just frame it because of the allegations. Has he been charged yet? I have to double check if he's been charged. Just make sure that you frame it that way. It's not Andrew Tate. He's been facing, he's released from jail on rape and human trafficking charges. Actually, now I have to double check that. Chat, has he been charged with that? Because I know that he was detained while they were investigating it, but I don't know if the follow-up came that he actually is facing charges. I think he did. Posted that he'd been paid over $20,000 by Twitter. This is a nice turnaround from being banned by Twitter 1.0 2 years ago, now being paid. Tweeted far-right influencer Rogan O'Handley. Never heard? Oh, DC Drano. I didn't know that was his real name. I follow DC Drano. But not all prominent right-wing Twitter contributors appeared to be part of the program. Oh, got to sow discord. By the way, thus far, Taylor Lorenz has not shed any light on how this program works, how the amounts were paid out or determined, and who else other than the select few of far-right contributors that she's picked also received this. When asked if she was part of the program, Shia Raichik, the creator of Libs of TikTok, offered a tongue-in-cheek response claiming that her relationship with Musk was thriving. You'll get the joke when we go over the tweets in a few seconds. She did not respond to a question about whether she was receiving payments under the program. Musk did not respond either. It's funny. Hey, Taylor, you burn all your bridges, it becomes tough to be a journalist. I remember, hold on. Do I say the anecdote now? Let's go through the journalism. I think that there are some conservative creators who are unhappy, said Chris Ruby, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't seem even across the board. I don't think the playing field is level. Okay, good. Questions, no answers. Some said on the right, she said some on the right who weren't included in the program despite meeting all the criteria are venting in private. Oh, that's good. Anonymous, so Discord. Anonymous complaints in private. Everyone's mad at Elon. Most conservatives don't want to go up against the wrath of Elon and what happens when you criticize him. Bullshit, Taylor. A lot of us have openly criticized him. And when I hear that, it's like, when I heard that the payments went out to people who are in Elon's good graces, I was on that. I got the notification. Lucky me. I've been pretty critical of Elon Musk. So I've been pretty critical of Elon Musk because I'll call it like I see it, and I will jab Elon when I think he deserves to be jabbed, and I'll pat him on the back when I think he deserves to be patted on the back. So this is bullcrap. This is anonymous gossip bullcrap, also known as Taylor Lorenz journalism. We see that he's not really applying the terms of service equally across the board. Twitter claimed in a blog post that creators' share advertising revenues would be based on a calculation of replies to their posts and monthly impressions. The program is only available in countries where Stripe, a payment platform, supports payouts, and recipients must pay for Twitter Blue. I had no idea. I mean, I guess it's fortuitous that I paid for Twitter Blue. I did not pay for Twitter Blue to keep the blue check mark. I actually will pay for it as long as it exists so I can edit posts and so that I can post long format videos. Priceless for those two features alone. Couldn't care less about the blue check mark anymore because the blue check mark now means nothing. That's the new reality. That's what we've all come to grips with. Not all creators who want to monetize will be able to. Creators who apply to the program have to pass human review. Some non-political contributors expressed frustration with the lack of transparency from the company over the rollout. My tweets have garnered hundreds of millions of impressions for Twitter every year. Every year doesn't matter until the program started, but I don't know. Matt Navarra, social media strategist who runs tech-focused newsletter Geek Out, posted on Thursday. And I've been on the platform for 15 plus years. It's pretty lame. There's no payout coming my way. Twitter has never generated any income directly for all the content I have put in. There might be an explanation to this, Navarra. The fact that you've been on for 15 plus years and might have garnered millions of impressions over whatever period of time might not be relevant if the time frame started measuring as of February, not knowing what impressions are or even what the formula is. This criticism, this concern might have a very logical answer to it. This program might have started only measuring as of a date, and then in which case the question is impressions as of that date. Former Twitter staffers who worked on creator-focused products expressed skepticism over the rollout, with several calling it a PR stunt. One former Twitter executive, do we have a name, who wished to remain unnamed to avoid retaliation. Any kind of content monetization we've done in the past was based on a revenue model. This just felt pulled out of thin air for a specific subset of creators that he wanted to placate. Oh, really? A, bullcrap, because I have been very critical of Elon when I think he deserves it. B, what place did this alleged employee operate? What function did they serve, or do they serve at Twitter? Do they have any knowledge of how it works? Are you asking, I don't know, I'm just trying to pick titles. Are you asking someone who works in the user experience, the UX department, how the monetization works if they don't work in the AdSense department? As they say, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. How much does this go on for? Jeez Louise, we're not going through the whole thing. Anyhow, bottom line, it doesn't answer any questions. Let's see what we got here. He's censoring speech that he doesn't like and amplifying speech that he does, and he's picking the people that he wants to have a voice on the platform and silencing others, said Rathbone Debise, a musician and content creator in New Orleans who monetizes on TikTok. Oh, it seems like there's no rhyme or reason to it. He's decided arbitrarily that there are the people who are going to make money off the platform because they are his friends. Okay, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. May I ask what that's based on? If I'm Taylor Lorenz and who's this person? Dubai said that. I was like, okay, what are you saying that Elon has no system and is willy-nilly picking who he supports? I mean, what's your opinion based on? I try to respect my values and my business, yada, yada. Okay, fine. The timing of Musk's announcement comes on the heels of Twitter rival Instagram announcing that its Twitter-like app Threads has surpassed 100 million signups in under a week, making it the fastest growing app of all time. That much is true. Taylor, have you asked if the rumors were true or the reports were true that you cannot delete Threads once you've installed Threads without also deleting your Instagram account? Can you imagine that? Imagine it's just like an automatic prompt for everyone on Instagram and Facebook, and people don't realize that once you install it, you will be a user for the rest of your life, so long as you want to keep your Instagram account, even if you don't want to use it. They got the accounts. You got 100 million signups. What's your user base like? Those are two different things, which I'm sure you'd ask the question, Taylor. 100 million signups. What is the active daily user base? Because my understanding, it's tanking. Jordan Lynch, owner yada yada, said that he thinks Threads could take a cue from Twitter's new monetization offerings. Threads users' retention is going to slip eventually. I think whoever provides the best monetization will win the retention rate. All right. Jules Turpak, a content creator and digital culture expert, said that someone who tweets a lot The prospect of earning money from posts is appealing, but she's watching to see how Elon Musk will handle thorny issues like content theft and bots. Those are legitimate concerns. She's also wondering if this new monetization scheme is sustainable given Twitter's struggle to retain advertising revenue. Well, you might have been wrong about that. By the way, the bots might be easy to determine or easy to deal with because it goes through human review, human approval. So that might be one way of resolving that. As soon as I'm seeing these amounts, my first question is, how is it going to be sustained? She said the track record so far with Elon's ownership is that a lot of things that sound very pretty, then you see them in action, and there are these more negative nuances to it. Wonderful journalism. Answered no questions. Provided no relevant information. Anonymous Twitter employees saying there's no rhyme or reason and we have no idea what their stature is within the company. People complaining about it who themselves have no idea how it operates, infusing their own biases on it. And that's it. But that's not it. Because Taylor Lorenz, I said in my quote tweet of this, it's impossible that Taylor Lorenz has the audacity, the shamelessness, and the lack of introspection to not understand why it's so wildly inappropriate and laughably stupid after having attempted to destroy Shia to go ask her for comment. Now, I'm taking for granted that Shia is not posting fake screen grabs of DMs between her and Taylor Lorenz. She posted this yesterday. Taylor Lorenz, by the way, Taylor Lorenz has blocked me on Twitter, so I don't think she's slipping into my DMs anytime soon. But she hasn't blocked Taylor for apparently. I guess she hasn't blocked Libs of TikTok. Hi, Shia. I'm doing a story on Twitter's monetization program for creators. Do you receive any? Can you imagine her having the balls to actually go to Libs of TikTok and ask her for help in an article, ask her for comment in an article? I'm going to share my anecdote, and I'm going to come back to that. As a young lawyer, my mentor, who I don't want to get him in trouble, I think he might actually like my content, said to me, he didn't say Viva because I wasn't Viva at the time. He says, David, the practice of law can be very, very long and very, very painful and can be made longer and more painful by your colleagues. If you burn bridges, if you burn your colleagues, if you lie once, if you develop a reputation of an asshole, a liar, a backstabber, even with your adversaries, even in the heat of battle, they will make your practice long and miserable. That holds true of everything. If you are an asshole and you burn bridges in a very small community, your career will be painful and it will be long, even if it's short. Taylor Lorenz, not that I'm looking at you, but I'm thinking of you right now. She did dox Libs of TikTok. She showed up at the front doorstep of her family. And now she's asking her for help with hey, Shia, just got a few questions for you. Please include my full comment. And I thought it was going to be a middle finger emoji. It's none of your business. You've bragged, and this is Taylor Lorenz. You've bragged about monetization previously on other platforms. Bragged? That's judgmental. Maybe talked about. Were you not included in Musk's group? Has your relationship with Twitter soured? Can you imagine she's actually asking her these questions and expecting her to answer these questions to someone who has been a backstabbing liar, snake in the grass of a journalist? My relationship with Twitter has not soured. In fact, it's thriving. Elon and I are actually dating. Please don't tell anyone because we're keeping it quiet. You have a name for being very trustworthy and honest. So I know I can trust you with this information. Give her credit. She's got a good sense of humor. We will note that in a tongue-in-cheek response, you claimed I'm reading Taylor Lorenz's response, and she sounds like one of those YouTube bots. Like she sounds like a robot, a chatbot. Are you more than one person now, Taylor? Do you identify as we? We will note that in a tongue-in-cheek response, you claimed that your relationship with Musk was thriving. Thank you. I'm a robot overseas. But you did not respond to a question about whether you were receiving payments under the program. I'm writing a story on people who suffer from Elon derangement syndrome and refuse to pay for a blue check and or took a lot of their content off Twitter. I'm curious if they have any regrets now that they're seeing creators get massive cash payouts. Can you give a comment, as I believe you fit this category? No. I will note that you decided not to comment. All right. I like Shia. I just spat on my computer. I like Shia, obviously. That's one heck of a sense of humor. Oh, Oh my goodness. No shame. There can be no shame because there's no pride. And when you have no pride, you can feel no shame about being a shameless, being a shameless liar of a journalist hack. All right. I think that covers it for that. I don't know how the remuneration program works. It was certainly a pleasant surprise. I didn't even know that. Please fix the focus. What? No, I think it's you. Fat Slice. No, it might be me, but it also might be internet bandwidth. I wear this shirt. I find that when I wear a shirt with words in it focuses on the words. That's why I like the shirts that have something distinct here so that the camera focuses on it. So look, I'm gonna go ahead and blame you. No, I gotta leave. We gotta go over to Rumble. But we're gonna, my goodness, you're not gonna want to miss it because FBI lies is almost more shocking than Taylor Lorenz cries. But can you imagine? They all fled. They fled in a hissy fit high school meltdown. I'm going to Mastodon. Well, what the hell's going on with Mastodon? Oh, I'm going to Threads now. Elon Musk is evil. I'm going to Zuckerberg. Can you imagine someone who's so stupid that they say Elon Musk is evil? I'm going over to Zuckerberg. I mean, you have to be stupid. There's no other way to it. You can't even be that willfully reckless. I think everybody knows how Facebook got started. I think everybody knows about Zuckerberg openly censoring, Zuckerberg selling user data. And now we know that Zuckerberg, let me see if I got a reply to my tweet here, because I'm not a journalist, but I do engage in the act of journalizing. Someone just said that they deleted their their threads. Oh, okay, fine. And someone says in response, well, the person hasn't responded. They said they deleted their Threads account, and I said, did they make you delete your Instagram account as well? Because multiple outlets reported that. Someone replied, I don't know who the person is. I believe that was the case initially, but they fixed it after hearing so many complaints. Okay, so maybe it's no longer. Maybe it was true. Maybe he tried to sneak it in the back door there, Zuckerberg, ever so trusting. His handle on Twitter is Fink D. Do we all know what a Fink is? Like, he named himself Fink because he might be a Fink. So anyways, the idiots who think that you're better off with Zuckerberg than with Musk, you're idiots. But you do it, you leave, you get your undies in a tiff. I don't even know if that's the expression. You leave, and then you see people getting paid not insignificant sums of money for posting engaging content on Twitter. Congratulations, you played yourself. All right, let's do it. I'm going to give you the link to the Rumbles. God, I'm sweating like a pig in here. This is my mother-in-law's sunroom. It's very beautiful. Those binoculars, I use them to go bird watching in the morning every now and again. All right, here we go. Here's the link to Rumble. Come on over to Rumble and enjoy. I know some people. By the way, if anybody has any like constructive criticism for the user experience on Rumble, put comments in the comment section. You can come over to Locals. Let us know. You can, in reply on my tweets on Twitter, which I often read the replies, put in any critique you have, and I can bring it up to the folks at Rumble. Constructive criticism. They're going through growing pains, and they're making wild, massive, amazing changes. But if you don't know Chris Pavlovsky and you don't know the team at Rumble, they are open to constructive criticism, and in as much as they see it, they take it to heart. So let's do it. Let's go over to Rumble. I think we've covered the tail end. There's a link one more time. Ending on YouTube, going over to Rumble. Then we're going to go over to Locals, vivabarneslaw.locals.com afterwards. See y'all soon. Those of you at YouTube coming over to Rumble on the dark side now.